Hello. In this video, I will go over reference angle and how it's related to theta. I'll explain how to find the reference angle using the rules. Okay, so uh, let's talk about reference angle. Reference angle is an angle bounded between the terminal arm and the x-axis. It is a positive acute angle that lies between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. Okay, so reference angle can be formed by that theta prime, or this symbol right here. So that can also be called a reference angle. And then theta is just your angle, right? So I like to think of it as the smaller angle, right? So for example, let's say your theta was 225, right? So theta is 225 degrees. And then your reference angle is like the smaller angle, the acute angle. It would be this angle right here. Let me use another color. So this would be your theta prime. So theta prime would be your reference angle. That's all it is. And there's just like a few rules you have to know. It just depends where your theta is, then there's rules. And let's go over the rules. So how do you find the reference angle? So it really depends where your theta is. So there's like a few four rules you have to know. So if your theta is in quadrant one, your reference angle is the same as theta, right? So if it's anywhere between, let's say your theta is 45 degrees, your reference angle, it's the same. Um, Rule two, if your theta is in quadrant two, what to find your reference angle, there's sometimes your regular theta can be in degrees or radians. So if it's in radians, you would do pi minus 80. And if it was in degrees, it would be 180 minus 0. Okay. So for example, what's an angle in quadrant two? Get my unit circle. An angle in quadrant two would be like 3 pi over 4. And your reference angle would be here. So you would just do, if you're in radians, it's going to be pi minus 3 pi over 4, right? 3 pi over 4 is also in degrees. So if you are in degrees, it would be 180 minus 135. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you're in now rule three states if your theta is in quadrant three, it would be theta minus pi or theta minus 180. And lastly, if you're in quadrant four, if your theta is in quadrant four, what you would do is do 2 pi minus theta or 360 minus theta. Okay, so write down these rules because we're going to do some examples. Okay, so now that you know the rules, let's do some examples. Okay, so on example one says find the reference angle theta prime and sketch theta and theta prime in standard position. So our theta is 203 degrees, so that is technically in somewhere between quadrant three, right? So let's draw that. So 203, 210 is here, so it's about right about here, right? So this is 203. And then we got to find a reference angle, which is build a smaller acute angle. So this is your reference angle. This would be theta prime. So you are in quadrant 3, right? So the rule states to find your theta prime, it is theta minus 180, right? So my reference angle or theta prime is theta, which is 203, minus 180, which is 23 degrees. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That is how you find the reference angle if you're in quadrant 3. Okay, let's move on. Example 2, let me clear the board. Okay, so example 2 says find the reference angle theta prime and sketch theta. So same direction from example 1. So this time our theta is a negative 245. So that's a little bit different. We're going, I think we're going clockwise or counterclockwise. I always get that mix. So negative 245, where would that be in your unit circle? So negative 245. Well, I know that negative 270 is right here, right? So negative 245 should be somewhere around quadrant 2, right? Right about here. Okay. So yeah. So how do we find this? Remember, theta prime has to always be acute. So that means it has to be positive. So what we're going to do is well, since we're technically in quadrant 2, right? We're technically in quadrant 2. It says if you're in quadrant 2, you would do 180 minus theta. So it's like saying 180, 180 minus 245 degrees. And that gives you negative 65 degrees. But remember, theta prime always has to be positive. So so this is your theta prime. So it's actually, instead of negative 65, it's positive. So your theta, your reference angle is going to be positive 65 degrees. Okay, let's do a few more. Example 3 says find the reference angle theta and sketch theta in, okay, same direction, but this time our theta is 2 pi over 3. So 2 pi, we have, yeah. What is 2 pi over 3? Well, it is 120 degrees. So you're technically in quadrant 2. So 2 pi over 3 is right about here. Okay, so if that's your theta, then what is your reference angle? So you're technically in quadrant 2. So to find theta prime or reference angle, it is pi minus theta. So it's going to be pi minus 2 pi over 3. So if you simplify this, this would be 3 3 pi minus 2 pi is pi over 3. So your reference angle is going to be pi over 3. Okay. Let's move on to example 4. So find the reference angle and sketch. Okay, so our theta is 300, which is technically in quadrant 4. So first draw if it helps. So 300 is, oh, it's exactly on the unit circle. So it'd be right here. Okay. So yeah, you're in 300, so what is your reference angle? So if you're in quadrant 4, to find your reference angle, it's 360 minus theta. So that would be 360 minus 300. And that would be 60 degrees. Okay, so your reference angle is 60 degrees. This little thing here. Okay, the last one is a little bit tricky. Example 5 says find the reference angle theta apostrophe and sketch theta and theta prime in standard position. So your theta is 2.3. That is not in degree, it's not in radians. I think it is in radians, but 2 pi over 3. I don't know what that is. If you look in your unit circle, 2 pi over 3 is the same thing as 5 pi over 4. Yeah, 5 pi over 4. So I believe you're in radians. So how do I know that is? Just put it in the calculator. So I had to literally test. I had to look at my unit circle, test which one. If I put this in the calculator, this is the only one that gives me exact value of 2.3. So if you don't believe me, put it in the calculator. Remember, pi is like 3.14. So if you put that in the calculator, it would be like 2.3. Okay. So now that we know where we are, wait. Actually, it's not 5 pi 4. It's 3 pi over 4. I made that mistake. So if you put 3 pi over 4 in the calculator, you are going to get exactly about 2.3. Okay, so that's good to know where you are in the unit circle. So 2 pi over 3 is right. 3 pi over 4 is right here. 3 pi over 4 is the same thing as 2.3. So you're technically in quadrant 2. So to find the reference angle, it's going to be pi minus theta. So it's pi minus 3 pi over 4. Multiply this by 4. So that's 4 pi minus 3 pi, which is pi over 4. So your reference angle is pi over 4. So that's how you find your reference angle. You just know the rules and then apply the rules. Okay, that's it. We'll end it here.